We think one of the key performance indicators for athletes is how well they're able to overcome adversity. My name is Michael Falk, and I own and operate Kinetic Sports Medicine and Performance, and I will share a couple of stories about some of the professional athletes that we support that have recently had big breakthroughs during their comeback from injury. So I've been lucky enough to support a world long drive competitor named Josh Koch that several years ago had a large neck injury that really slowed him down. He had an extensive rehab process, debated surgery versus conservative management. Many people think that he's been back for a while because he's been back and competing again, but he has not ever been able to return to his prior level of performance, which was winning world championships and being one of the fastest humans on the planet. And about a week to 10 days ago, Josh had a breakthrough and won one of the world's largest competitions in Germany and got back into the winner's circle for the first time since injury. And people might look at this and say, oh, that's so great, he got there. But behind the scenes, what people don't understand is the kind of dark times that athletes go through, the self-doubt that starts to creep in when you're trying to get back to your prior level of performance and you're just not. And you feel like you're doing the right things, you're hitting balls, you're working on your craft, you're in the gym training, and you're not seeing the results. And this is the point that we see many athletes, especially younger athletes that maybe have not had to go through adversity, they start to kind of wilt and stop trying, let it beat them down, let it affect their work ethic, it affects their desire to go and train hard and to do those things, and it affects their desire to continue to push, and then that ends up really being the thing that starts to set them back or limit their performance. And so I think looking at examples like this is crucially important. The other athlete that we've known for 5 years now is Ben Heller, who recently made it back to a major league 40-man roster, got a call up into a big league game for the first time since in about 2 or 3 years as he's been coming back from back and arm injuries. And Ben, in a similar way, went through this entire process, and many players would have stopped trying, right? They would have been told like, oh, you haven't been in the big leagues for 2 years, kind of the dream is dead. But Ben stuck with it, and Ben was willing to go and be creative, and he went down to a new facility, he found a new pitching coach, he really was willing to sort of reinvent his entire routine, he was willing to work on new pitches, he was willing to essentially scrap many of the things that maybe got him to where he was in an effort to get back to where he needed to be and sort of reinvent himself in the later part of his career. And this is incredibly hard and time-consuming and a sacrifice, and it's something that we don't ever want young athletes to just kind of scrap things, and I don't want to say start over, but really be able to refine things, but just the desire to keep going, to keep showing up, to stay consistent for not 1 month, not 1 year, but both of these athletes, 2.5 to 3 years of really continuing to push and get back there until they finally have had this kind of breakthrough and success and been able to see maybe for the first time all of their hard work being able to push to show off and to help them get to their goals. So I think this can be a really good lesson for any young athlete, really even a recreational athlete, of just continuing to try. Both of those individuals are extremely talented. They're some of the best in the world at what they do. Without that talent, they would not have that success. But I really think watching them work, it's their mindset. It's their willing to sacrifice, it's their willing to keep going, it's their ability to overcome that adversity and not let it beat them down that helps them get through to that breakthrough. One of my favorite quotes is that talent needs trauma. And what I think this gives us an insight into is that for your best talent to come out, you're going to have to overcome adversity. So there was this research study in the sports psychology literature that looked at individual sport athletes and ones that became world champions. So in tennis, it's like winning a major tournament. In golf, same thing. Or in team sports, that they made it all the way to the pinnacle of that sport. So they made it to the pros, they made it to the Olympics, whatever like the pinnacle was for their sport. One of the things that separated the athletes that were talented as a younger individual versus the athletes that maybe didn't quite get there was actually how they viewed adversity. Whereas the best in the world viewed their adversity or their trauma as an opportunity to improve or an opportunity to learn something about themselves. So they looked at injuries and they talked about how much better it helped them become. Whereas the athletes that didn't quite, still really good, maybe they got to college sports, maybe they got to a minor league level, but they never quite made it all the way to the peak of their sport, they viewed adversity in a negative light. Like, I would have made it except this happened to me, right? And so for high school athletes or younger athletes that are listening to this, or families, try to reframe how you view adversity, injuries, not making a team, getting cut, whatever the case may be. Try to reframe that, and rather than having it be a setback, look for it as an opportunity to improve. Look for it as an opportunity for you to take on adversity, overcome it, learn something about yourself, and come back even better. So don't ever stop chasing your dreams. Don't ever give up. I hope that these two stories are lessons for everyone that is dealing with injuries, that maybe hasn't had the success that they're looking for. Don't stop. Just keep going, because there's proof that you can return to that prior level of performance.